Now to this, to a similar story that's unfolding in Bahrain, where the government's launched a merciless crackdown there in the last 3 weeks and is accused of beating demonstrators in the streets, hauling human rights activists in for questioning. Human Rights Watch says Bahraini police forces have detained as many as 430 people just in recent weeks. 4 of those activists who died in custody, many of their bodies showing signs of torture. But I want to tell you the story now of one woman whose husband and father have been detained going on a hunger strike. CNN's Amber Lyon with more from this. I know you were just recently in Bahrain. But first, before we talk about this young woman, this 27-year-old woman, help everyone understand why Bahrain is so significant when you look at the relationship between the U.S. and Bahrain, and a lot of that has to do with the Navy.
Yeah, the Navy has a vital base there, the 5th Fleet Naval Base, which provides support to troops in Iraq and Afghanistan. Also, Bahrain is considered to be a friend of the U.S., an ally, and like it or not, people consider the actions of that government to be kind of U.S. approved. So if they're accused of torturing people, people are thinking that the U.S. government is allowing that to happen.
Then you have this 27-year-old woman who, tell me about her, and she's essentially, she stopped eating. She's willing to starve because she wants her family to be safe.
Starved to death. Her name
Starved to death.
She's a 27-year-old Zainab al-Khawaja, and she is the mother of a 1-year-old daughter. And she says that over the weekend, security forces stormed into her home and arrested, violently arrested, she says, her father, a prominent human rights activist. His name is Abdul Hadi al-Khawaja. And in addition to that, they took her brother-in-law and her husband, and she believes they were all targeted for their human rights work. We tried to speak with Bahraini authorities. They haven't commented on the issue yet, but she definitely wrote a letter to President Obama asking for some type of help.
Has anyone responded? Has the State Department responded to this letter?
Yeah, the State Department has responded. They did say they're aware of the case and they're calling on the Bahraini authorities to give him a fair trial, also to let the family know why he was arrested in the first place. She hasn't heard from her father or husband since. There has been no arrest warrant served. In addition to that, the State Department has become a little more bold in speaking out against these claims of torture going on in Bahrain. As you said earlier, 4 bodies suspected of possibly being tortured have shown up in the past 2 weeks.
What about the protests? I know you were there. You saw Pearl Square. We've seen the pictures of that big, massive monument that was sort of obliterated. I mean, have the protests, have they quelled at all, or is the momentum still there?
Well, you're not seeing the massive protests that you're seeing in Syria and other countries, and that's mainly because there is such an intense military presence in Bahrain right now, and the military has essentially taken over Pearl Square and turned that into a base that used to be the center of the revolution in Bahrain. But there is, as one source told me, a protest kind of seething underneath in Bahrain among the villagers who feel right now like they're being oppressed, and they feel like they're scared to leave their homes, and they're also terrified that these masked armed men are going to come in late at night and take them away without them ever being seen again, which is happening right now, as in the case of Zainab and her family.
And you were in one of those villages, and I don't know how you got in there, but you were in one of the villages, and that's when we saw you get tear gassed. You and your crew were able to leave, and many others cannot. Amber Lyon, I appreciate you telling her story. Let us know if there's an update.
I will. She's on day 4 now, and she says that she's not going to take, she won't even add sugar to her water. People on Twitter were begging her to add sugar to the water.
She's not even doing that.
But no, she says she will die unless she sees her father and husband again safely released.
Amber, thank you.
Thanks, Brooke.